Chronometry calibrated. The gateway will open in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Analyzing data. Likelihood of parallel universes now at 41%. Continuing analysis of the many worlds hypothesis.
When the 21st century arrived, Star Trek was in trouble. Their movies were seeing diminishing returns, their flagship series Enterprise wasn't enough to keep UPN afloat, and even though it had overcome its early seasons like all the other shows before it, the ratings never returned. On May 13th, 2005, exactly 21 years ago at date of recording, Star Trek Enterprise aired its finale, ending an 18-year television reign. Perhaps it was an inevitability, perhaps it was Rick Berman holding the reins too tightly, or perhaps it was just the public perception that Star Trek was just for nerds. One man, fresh off the success of Mission Impossible 3, dared to ask the question, what if we made Star Trek cool? Welcome, everyone. I'm Gayfesh. Joining me, as always, is the lovely DemonMama.
Hello.
And Moss.
Hello, it's me.
And this season on the Many Worlds Hypothesis, we are going to be finishing off the Star Trek movies with the Kurtzman era. Whether you call them the J.J. Abrams movies, or the Kelvinverse, or AOS is, I think, a more recent one. But we're also going to be throwing in Section 31 at the very end. So I'm just going to call it the Kurtzman era. Yeah, we're talking Star Trek 2009, the reboot. And since I think I know what DemonMama thinks about this movie,
more like the repoop.
Let's go to Moss. How'd you like this movie?
So I would say that this is probably the Star Trek I have watched the most because I was a teenager when it came out. And I can't remember if I think I may have seen it in theaters. I can't remember. My mom was big into like going to movies around that time. So there were lots of movies that I saw in theaters, but I saw it right around the time it came out. And it probably was like my primary exposure to Star Trek for a really long time when eventually my partner and I decided to go ahead and actually sit down and watch the original series followed by the Next Generation. So I don't have a lot of those like preconceived notions entering into this movie. And also I've seen it. It's like a fun movie I throw on in the background. So I've seen it multiple times. Mm-hmm. And I think, it's just a bit of fun. It's very much like watching a Marvel movie for me where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put this on. There's going to be predictable things that are going to happen. Looking at it now as an adult, it does feel like story-wise, it fits in very much with like the types of things that happen in Star Trek. I do feel like the genocide of it all kind of brings it out to a different sort of scale. But yeah, I mean, in general, I find the movie quite enjoyable. And people have said many times that certain Star Trek, it's not even really Star Trek. So I don't think that this is too far off from the kind of criticisms that people made, way back against like The Wrath of Khan originally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's fun. It's dumb, but fun.
All right. DemonMama, I know you've been chomping at the bit.
Oh, I have been excited to talk about this, if for nothing else than the catharsis of feeling something that I didn't get to feel during the movie, which is anything but anger. I remember seeing this movie. I actually got into a early viewing of this movie. At the time, I worked for Best Buy, and we did this charity thing. And so we got to watch it an hour before midnight on the day of its release. And I had like a little Best Buy outfit with a little Star Trek communication badge. And there was a bunch of charity stuff before that. It was an interesting experience. And I remember being like, okay, when I saw it. And I don't remember, I think I have seen it since then. I don't remember when, but my memory of this movie was so much more charitable than the actual movie itself. And this movie is poop from a butt. I hated it. I sat there the entire time. I couldn't wait until it was over. It pissed me off so much. And also, one of the things that most sat in the front of my mind while watching this movie was just like, oh, it all makes sense now. It makes sense that this was the path that led to Rise of Skywalker. This was the path that led to the current cinematic moment, because first of all, it's all these fucking people. All the people who worked on this fucking movie are the ones dumping their brain shit into our culture, like collectively now, where we don't have any choice but to enjoy that shit or like sneak off into garbage cans to find things that are actually interesting, because they're all in charge of the giant cultural institutions and making this crap. This movie pissed me off so much. I think the thing that really got to me more than anything else, which I'll leave my long-winded intro to this, this is just the fact that every single character in the movie is they're just waiting. You could just feel them waiting for the moment they can look at the camera and say their quote unquote catchphrase that the writer just got from like Memory Alpha or whatever. I hated that aspect. I hated that Bones says, "God damn it, I'm a doctor, not a blank," 3 fucking times. It's like they're beating you over the head with the references. I'm just like, oh my God, please shut the fuck up. And it's stupid too. It frustrates me because the performances aren't even that bad. In fact, I think some of the performances are really good. I think they're great. I just think that every other decision beyond like the actual performance, like Carl Urban is great as Bones. He's perfect.
Legitimately.
He's perfect. But anyway, I'll get into everything as we go on. But yeah, I despise this movie, and it was so much worse than I remembered it.
All right. Well, to do a sandwich on this one, you have the good review, then the bad review, and then the better review. I do have a complicated feeling about this movie. I fucking adored it when it came out. I was so happy to see Star Trek get mainstreamed like that, because I did grow up as a Trekkie being treated like a nerd for liking Star Trek, which was absurd because it was like a pretty popular show.
And it was not like a cool cultural nerd kind of thing. Like we have now, it's like
that did not exist in the 90s.
It was almost all entirely a bad thing. Yeah, like if you go back and watch Revenge of the Nerds, like Gayfesh lived through the time where it was like nerd parentheses derogatory.
Yeah, that's all it was.
This movie did like come out at the beginning of the Funko Pop geeks are cool era.
And part of this is just got to be like informed more on what we're going to talk about with Into Darkness. But I saw this movie as like a good launching off point that, okay, I understood that they wanted to reboot the franchise. And at the time, I cared a lot more about canon than I do now. And I think canon itself, I don't think canon is the end all be all, but I think canon is still important for having like a cohesive story structure. Mm-hmm. And so like I understood what they were going for when they're like, okay, we're going to explicitly state in the film for the nerds that we are not erasing the original series here. This is just new stories with an alternate reality. Okay, so calm down. And that was actually like desperately needed in that film. However, like much they just like grabbed the camera and talked directly to the audience to tell them that that's okay. It could have probably been done with a little more subtlety than that, but no, it was absolutely needed. And I think this movie, well, J.J. Abrams directed the exact same movie when he made The Force Awakens, right? He's taking a franchise and trying to reinvigorate it, but without really having any ideas of his own, other than his like base level knowledge from pop cultural osmosis of what these properties are. And he's kind of there to wipe the slate clean and set the stage for some new story. But then that comes into, okay, well, am I watching a movie or am I watching an ad for the next movie? And I was excited for the future of Star Trek because of this movie, because like, okay, we've got the cast. This is really kind of an audition. Here's all the cast. We picked people who really work as these characters. I don't have a single problem with the casting of this movie. I think Bruce Greenwood is fucking amazing as Pike. Fucking bring him over Anson Mount. I like Anson Mount as an actor. I like Anson Mount as a person. That's the only reason I say that. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, Anson Mount plays Pike on Strange New Worlds. But yeah, all the other cast, they're just like pitch perfect. Like I remember when they announced that Zachary Quinto had been cast as Spock, I was like, I wasn't even not surprised. I was just like, I acted like that was information that was already known to me, because who else would they fucking cast? Because Heroes was in its first season when that news came out. And I'm just like, well, yeah, obviously you would cast Siler as Spock. There is no other option. Carl Urban, on the other hand, like I was familiar with him. I'd seen Lord of the Rings. I'd seen he was in one of the Riddick movies. He was in Doom. And so I'd seen him in things and I'm just like, okay, he's an actor, but like Bones, really? And then I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, well, naturally, of course you just resurrected DeForest Kelley and put him back on screen. Yeah, of course you did that.
Yeah, Carl Urban is like, by the way, I just need to say, he's fucking goated. Yeah. He's so good.
He's been in everything and he's amazing.
He was Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
he's the only actor that they could get to do it, and he did a great job in that movie.
And he was the one who insisted in that movie that he never take off his helmet.
Yeah, he was like, I'm committed.
Imagine an actor being like, no, I want less face time. Like when they were considering Tom Cruise for Iron Man and he wanted to have a clear visor in the helmet.
No.
So yeah, no, Carl Urban's a good dude.
He might be the entire reason I watch The Boys.
Yeah. He hogs the screen in The Boys, to be fair. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good because I hear that I'm like, I don't want to be stressed out, but I want to see Carl Urban in more stuff.
I will say that Nero as the villain is like, there's really not much substance to him. I think Eric Bana is having fun hamming it up as, you know, a movie villain, but like he's just a crazed, deranged guy who's just trying to get revenge and stuff, which it's basically he's Khan without any of the historical backing or gravitas to it, but he's a Khan-like character, which so great that we get Khan next after that.
I can't wait.
Yay.
Anyway, those are my initial complicated thoughts. I like the movie, but it is kind of more of a theme park ride of Star Trek than it is a deep understanding of Star Trek as a franchise. And it is trying to be like, okay, we want to be cool. So we don't want to do the nerdy stuff. We don't want to lean too heavy into the nerdy stuff. We'll have the one scene where they explain to the nerds in the audience that their original series is still safe. And then we'll blow up things and shoot lasers for the general audience.
Well, you know, that's a perfect segue to something I was going to say about this, like coddling, childish reassurance, like everything you like is okay. It's predatory nostalgia. And I think that J.J. Abrams is a nostalgia predator. I think that he's, in more ways than one, I think he's like an anglerfish. And he has a little nostalgia bulb attached to his head that he can change to different colors that vaguely resemble what like certain types of nostalgic consumers are looking for. And then he eats your money and your life. And if you fall for it, then you become digested in a forever like milking cycle.
I guess this is kind of like where that whole thing started, right? Because like, I mean, of course, I was too young then for it to be nostalgia for me. But this is like, I love that you put that word on it, predatory nostalgia, because that's everything is now. Everything is now.
Yes.
We've got
It's
Lion
all
King
predatory nostalgia.
and fucking, what is it called? Beauty and the Beast with Emma
all the
Watson.
Disney live action
Like,
remakes.
all of this thing, like I'm like, stop, literally stop. I'm also getting to that point with Marvel as well, where like, I mean, it started around the same time. It was 2008 with Iron Man.
Yes.
And now that they're still doing it, I'm like, you are just, I mean, and of course, yes, there's still little kids being born every day who've never seen a Marvel movie and they get to have their first experience in the movie theater or whatever. But
I'm so sorry for
obviously
them.
the target audience
I'm so sorry for them.
Yeah, obviously the target audience is millennials because we were children and when we got latched in. It's like having candy cigarettes, you know, like starting you on the cigarettes are cool path when you're 8 years old. Like,
it's like if the candy cigarettes had actual nicotine in them.
It's like Juul now.
Yes,
that was a joke.
It's so evil. It's so fucking evil.
J.J. Abrams, he's like all style and no substance because he doesn't actually write personal stories. I don't think he's capable of that. I think, like I said, he's like a theme park ride designer. So the action set pieces are cool. The character moments are cool. The VFX are cool. But J.J. Abrams would never in a million years be able to direct like a remake of DS9 where he adapts Quark as any kind of complex character. He would either be a sleazy, slimy toad or some grizzled badass criminal, but he would never have like...
Keep your fucking mitts off of it. Keep it away.
He could never hit the warmth or the nuance of that character. He could not do a Quark because he doesn't understand that Quark is like a full human being.
Ironically, human.
Are there two women in this and also two women shown in their underwear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 2 out of 2 of the women.
Well, the moms were not shown in their underwear. We did see the Kirk and Spock's moms, and they were not, you know.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
Winona
right.
Ryder was in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the Green Lady and Uhura both had their underwear at some point in the movie.
Yeah, I made the mistake of listening to the director's commentary for this.
Oh, no.
J.J. Abrams gives the worst fucking commentary I've ever heard, but like watching that scene, he basically just said, yeah, no, I just wanted to justify seeing Uhura naked. And it's like, dude, that's fucking
awful.
creepy. That's fucking, like, imagine you're Zoe Saldana and you decide to listen to the commentary for that and you hear that shit. Like,
It's also like
Yeah.
besmirching like the whole legacy of that character and like the whole like
talk
Dr. Martin
about
Luther
that.
King of it all.
Uhura's presence in this movie was fucking insulting. And the fact that like she's a half character for about 30 minutes and then the rest of the movie she pops in to say, you mean like an alternate timeline? Snap zoom into her face.
She was exposition, yeah.
Everyone was exposition.
Oh, that's fair.
It's so bad. Also, okay, for a second, I'm going to take a step away from the like J.J. Abrams pure focus and the story focus. And I'm just going to talk about the craft of the movie aspect, the cinematography, the editing, holy fuck, and the design decisions. Okay, first of all, why does this movie take place in the pipe dimension? It was the first thing that I wrote down in my notes was, why does it look like this? Why does it all look like this? So many of the sets in this movie are industrial pipe zones, and I don't understand like where of all of the inspiration they could have pulled from through all of the eras of Trek, why did they choose?
You're not gonna like the answer.
Is it because they had access to a pipe area? Is that why?
It's because Budweiser paid for a massive amount of
Oh
product
my
placement
God.
in this movie, and half of the scenes and engineering are filmed at the Budweiser plant.
That makes sense. Literally, that's so. I actually love that answer. While I was watching the movie, I made a joke that I was like, I need a crib from Red Letter Media here, which is to say that this is one of those movies that they review on Best of the Worst, where they have a type of movie that's called We Had Access to an X. And it's like a type of movie that you see a lot in B movies where some small filmmaker got the unique ability to like, their uncle has something. And
Right. Yeah.
they shoot it there, and the whole movie ends up being like a post hoc justification to shoot in this location. And that is what it felt like. There were so many pipe scenes. Like, and if you go back and watch the movie, like, count how many scenes just take place in a pipe factory. And there's the one that made me laugh the hardest is right at the beginning of the movie, where they're like, oh, we're evacuating the ship. And it's like, let's get the people from medbay. And so they have the scene of wheeling the mother who's having the baby, and they're wheeling her for a whole scene with this shaky cam, like action cut. They're wheeling her through like what appears to be like some kind of lead factory. And I'm like, okay, really? So your med bay where you have like critical condition patients doesn't have like any access to like an escape pod? You have to have them wheel through the radiation zone, where I think there's literally like radiation signs in the background. I'm like, that is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. The whole movie has this design approach that is like, none of it sells that this is happening in space. None of this sells that it's happening on a ship or in a federation that's worth anything. It's all like, this is happening in the factory that makes the Funko Pops that this movie's going to sell. It pissed me off so much.
I feel like, to be slightly fair to the movie, the ship was already being destroyed by the time they're wheeling her out. So maybe they had to take a detour. That's such a post hoc.
I have to bring this back to the commentary, though, because like they talked a lot about how they had written and rewritten the intro, and originally the movie was going to start with like Spock's birth. And then they were like, well, if we do Spock's birth, then Kirk's birth, then Spock's a child, then Kirk is a child. It's just kind of too much back and forth. So they were trimming stuff down, but most of what they ended up trimming out of the movie was like anything to do with their mothers. There was actually several scenes that Kirk's mom had that were all cut, and the only thing she gets to be is a woman giving birth. That's the extent of her character. You know, we're supposed to look at Kirk through the lens of his father, who was Starship Captain for 12 minutes and saved all these lives. But Kirk never fucking knew that guy. Kirk was raised by his mom, but we don't see any of that. They even talked about how they wanted to, they wrote the focus on the moms originally because they're like, well, look, we got to get women into Star Trek, as if women have never been into Star Trek before. And their only idea to do that was to have moms, and for these moms to just be moms and not exist in any capacity other than to be moms. And I'm like, look, you got Kirk's dad who got to be a fucking starship captain and save the day. What if Kirk's mom was the first officer of the Kelvin, and while she is in labor pains has to like command the defense of the ship? Like, that would have been fucking amazing and crazy to do. It would have been hard to do, but it would have been worth it. And like why do we have to assume that it's only the men that get to do shit? You know,
alternate universe, they could have done whatever they wanted. And the stupid shit is the entire fucking movie fixates on praising and jerking off Kirk's dad all the time, and the movie is kind of framed like, oh, well, you're fatherless, like, and you need to find your daddy in order to find the order in the universe. I fucking hate it. I hate it. I am approaching AM levels of hatred for the entire machine that makes this fucking fascistic crap. And I know I said I wasn't going to focus on the story for a second, so I'm going to talk about something else, and I'm sorry if this is a tangent, but the editing in this movie makes me want to throw up. I'm not even joking. there is not a single moment of peace or tranquility ever. Even in scenes that are supposed to be emotionally charged, there is no lingering. It jumps all the time. It's the most like frenetic and like seizure like editing. And mix that with the constant addiction to shaky cam, and you have a movie that, I'm not even kidding you, gave me motion sickness. I was like, I need to like close my eyes for a minute here or I'm gonna start feeling nauseous. I don't know why they thought that was like a good decision for any of this, even for some of the scenes that are action packed. Let the action speak for itself, and they don't.
J.J. Abrams, like if you look at the behind the scenes stuff, he's like literally the one doing the shaky cam because he like had developed this rhythm for it that was kind of hard for the camera operator to do. So he just let them operate it, and he would just stand behind the camera and like tap it to get the exact like cadence of the rhythm that he got.
Idiot toddler.
They even built a mocap rig so that he could do it for the VFX shots when they're just doing space shots and still have that shaky cam. They just built a little thing so he could tap that while they're rendering it.
It does feel very silly.
I have worked as a camera person many times in my life, and I can tell you from personal experience, if I worked with a director that did that kind of shit, I would kill myself in the middle of the set, okay? I'm not even joking with you. I can't even imagine, okay? When I used to work as a camera person, I once got accidentally tackled by a extremely big security guy at a concert, and I took that like a champ because I knew it was part of the job. But if a fucking director came in and started going goo goo gaga, smack smack on my camera, I would just pull out a gun and blow my brains out right in the dead center of the set.
You can't at least take the director with you?
I don't even know. I would say I'd want him to live with the lesson, but he wouldn't. He'd be like, whoa, did we get that, guys? Let me smack the camera a little bit. That's so fucking stupid. And like the more you've told me about this, the more vindicated I feel. You're making me a worse
I
person.
just love the rage building.
J.J. Abrams doesn't have a soul, so like anything I tell you about him is not going to make you happy.
But it's like he's becoming more of the cartoon of hatred that I like, emblem of hatred I already believe in my head. Like I don't even need to embellish it. It's just, oh my God, that pisses me off. There's another thing. There were two things that I thought about in this movie that had to do with directorial or design decisions that made me go like laugh out loud. One of them got the entire room laughing, which is there is a scene on the bridge of the Enterprise where I believe it is Bones and Spock having an argument, and they cut to Bones and they've done some kind of like reverse fisheye effect, and Carl Urban's head is smushed and it looks so funny. And you could miss it if you were like kind of like zoning out at that point, which I wouldn't blame anybody, but I looked at the screen and I saw like tiny headed Carl Urban and I just started laughing out loud, and I'm like, how did they leave that in the movie? And it's like, it's just a normal conversation. He's like, well, what if we do this? And then they cut back to him and his head is still squished. And it's like 4 whole shots of his head being squished. And I was just like, I have to believe that they were just like rushing and they had the cameraman too close and they didn't have time to swap a lens or something, because I can't imagine that somebody went in and put an effect on that to make his head look like that. It was such an insult. I'm like, they did him so dirty. The other thing that's along those lines where I'm just like, who could have thought this was a good idea, was the epic yo-yo holograph device that when they go on the Romulan ship and they're like the captain, and then he's like, they're like tossing a little like hologram light ball around for some reason. They're like, check this out, bro. Wow. And then it's like, you destroyed my planet, blah, 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 blah. Or it's like something like that. It's like the face of Spock comes up and he's like, I'm Spock. And the stupid yo-yo like tossing around the hologram thing, I'm just like, okay, so like these super serious Romulans are just like, yeah, woohoo. We'll just like toss like a ball. Like it's just so embarrassing, and like it's like such a toddler's imagining of what cool would be. Like, yeah, what if I did like what if I slam dunked the hologram on? Oh my God, I thought of another one. I'm sorry.
We're just along for the ride right at this point.
I'm sorry. If you have, please butt in if you have anything to add on to here, but I feel like I have to talk about this. We all were laughing about this. The wet room. What's with the wet room? The Romulan torture chamber that has neat, like shin deep water where you have to wear like the Millhouse pants to walk in it. And they're just splashing around in the torture scene. Like, squish, 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 squish. We were like, no, don't put them in the wet room. Why is the what's with the wet room?
I don't fully understand all of the design decisions with the Romulans. Like the Romulans look different than we've ever seen them before, which is especially weird because the Romulans are from the Prime timeline. But I guess they said that the tattoos that they were all wearing were like mourning tattoos that they had put on because of the loss of Romulus. But then Spock's whole thing about how, he threw in the red matter to swallow up the supernova, but not in time to get Romulus, means that like they got sucked into that black hole maybe, I don't know, like an hour after Romulus blew up. So those must have been really fast tattoo artists on board or something. I don't know.
The design of the Romulans was also a choice. I miss the and this is my nostalgia aspect. Where's the box suits? The most iconic Romulan outfits? Where's the squares? Where's the Kanye West music video outfit?
Well, I don't think these guys were like soldiers. Like there was a mining ship, right?
Yeah, they were just guys who had a job on a mining ship. Yeah, like mining asteroids, probably. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they had to have the wet floor torture room on the mining ship.
Well, sometimes you got to torture that ore.
Yeah.
The mining ship that's like the size of a fucking moon and has like evil spires on it, and then also I don't know. There's just none of it.
If you want to make yourself matter, there is a tie-in comic that tries to explain what it is, and apparently they like modified their ship with Borg technology to better enact their revenge against the Federation.
Again, with all the time that they had.
Yeah, I know.
That's such an insult to the Borg too, because the Borg would let you just like borrow a piece of tech and then fly away. Those motherfuckers would be on your ass so hard.
Oh, you haven't seen Voyager yet. You haven't seen Voyager yet.
I haven't. That's true. So I don't know.
They do that shit all the time on Voyager.
They're like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, well, we'll get there. I'll get to Voyager. Voyager and Enterprise are the shows I haven't seen. So,
well, and all the new ones.
Well, I've seen some of Strange New Worlds.
I think I showed you.
We watched some together, and I watched some with my other friend. And but Leonard Nimoy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. He was in it.
I actually really liked Leonard Nimoy in this one. You can complain about what they did with it. And maybe it's because I'm just, a Funko Pop soy Trek fan, but like, no, I'm going to enjoy anytime Nimoy's on screen, with a caveat of the next time he's on screen. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to Into Darkness, but this should have been his last Star Trek film, is what I'll say. I thought it was great for what they were doing for the fan coddling that as you so call it. I thought it worked well for that. And it was also a script, like Nimoy had been given a lot of offers to come back to Star Trek at multiple points, and he always turned them down, but he liked the script. He felt like it captured it well enough for him. And like, I might not agree with Nimoy on everything, but that man has definitely earned the rights to his opinion on basically everything. But like, apparently in the behind the scenes, J.J. Abrams talked about how he thought when he was growing up it was called Trekkies, but then he found out it's actually called Trekkers. And I'm like, well, no, it is called Trekkies, but you cast Leonard Nimoy in your movie, and Nimoy was always trying to fight for them to say Trekkers because he felt Trekkies sounded too twee. I loved Nimoy. I was really sad when he died. That was the same day that the black and blue dress was hitting social media, so I blamed that dress for killing him. And I'm happy that he got to play Spock in another movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with him being in the movie, and my problem was not with Leonard Nimoy, but rather how they used him and how they wrote him in. The fact that like he kind of just spits out 4 references basically back to back when you first meet him. Like he's like, "You're James Kirk. You have and always shall be my friend." And I was like, huh? Like, really? Like, that's like one of the most powerful lines in the history of this character. That like emotively.
Oh boy, you're gonna love Into Darkness. You're gonna love the fuck out of that movie.
I remember hating that movie even when it came out. So I will be going into that one with a bias. I couldn't remember most of my experience with this movie, except for that I was like, oh, I enjoyed it at the time. I hate the quipping of the like lines that are like, if you went on IMDb and you like look in the quotes section, like for the most popular quotes, like that they put everyone in here. It's really done without context or respect for where it came from. Obviously there's a time and place in movies to like hype something up by doing a callback, but they just drop it fucking everywhere. I
think Scotty doing the I'm giving her all she's got, Captain, I think that was well placed.
I wish that one was the only one. I knew it was coming. I couldn't remember when I knew it was coming.
It's like one Wilhelm. You can get away with one, as far as I'm concerned. We can have one Wilhelm in a given movie. When you get up to 3.
Actually, I think if we had 20 Wilhelm screams in a movie, I think I would just be like, okay, I get the game we're playing here. I can play along.
Sure. Once we get to a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, this is the bit now. Sure. But like in a just a regular movie where I'm just trying to enjoy myself, and just, allow myself to be in the moment, I feel like, one Wilhelm I can go, I see you, editor, sound guy who decided to slip that in. But I think it was in one of the Star Warses, one of the more recent ones, that there were like 3. And I was like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much now. That's too much now.
They think they're being cute. And it's like, okay,
one is cute. Yeah. More than that, I'm like, unless you turn it into if you turn it into the bit, then sure. But yeah, any more than one Wilhelm, and I'm like, you're taking me out of this.
Yeah, you need the movie to slowly accelerate the number of Wilhelm screams until the dialogue is replaced entirely with like modulated Wilhelm screams.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be like a Naked Gun type joke or something like that,
So like, I didn't even clock that he said, I'm not damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a blood. He said it like 3 times.
I think he only said it once.
He says the exact line only once, but he says like, I'm a doctor blank. Like he says
he does say I'm a doctor multiple
literally
times.
3 times.
True.
And he uses it as like a catchphrase. It's like a decent chunk of his dialogue in the early movie, and it's really annoying.
I think my biggest issue with this film is in the portrayal of Kirk.
Oh, big time, of course.
Because there is this pop culture idea of Kirk as this renegade womanizing maverick that comes almost entirely from the movies that Roddenberry wasn't involved in. If you watch the show, sure, Kirk had sex on occasion, but he was not like breaking the rules all the time. I think there was like one episode where he went against a Commodore who had literally lost his fucking mind, because Star Trek always has admirals go bad. So that's fine. But like, he wasn't like some like, oh, I'm violating all this. And people can like go and point to episodes where he was contacting pre-warp civilizations, but like that was before they had really established the rules of the Prime Directive anyway. So a lot of the ideas that people have of Kirk is definitely a good improviser. He's definitely good at cheating and bluffing and getting himself out of situations like that. But he was never like some insubordinate jackass like he's portrayed in this movie. This movie is the pop cultural idea of what Kirk is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the boiled down broth of what the most unfamiliar
Kirk simple syrup.
Yes, Kirk simple. Yes.
I kind of like, in a way, that this movie is kind of like, well, what if the same behaviors were just perceived through a different lens? Like that originally Jim Kirk cheats the Kobayashi Maru test, right? Like, but it's like celebrated. It's like, oh, you're so smart, you figured out a way around it. But like with this additional context of like growing up without a dad and like not having a good like structure, and he was acting out or whatever, which like I do agree that we could have gotten some more like the mom being involved and like that relationship. Why is he acting out that way? Because otherwise it just feels really unexplained. Like, he's just listening to the Beastie Boys and driving his stepdad's car off the cliff, whatever.
Oh, you want to know why they picked the Beastie Boys for this
because
one?
It was cool as hell? Because it was sick as hell?
Yes, literally. I was listening to the commentary and they're like, hey, you know what? I don't know why I picked Beastie Boys? Because I like it. Because it's a cool song. And that was it. That was the sum total of J.J. Abrams' thought process for the whole movies, because it was cool.
Yeah. Again, it's popcorn. I'm like, yes, that was cool. I appreciate it. But why? What character reason was there for him to do that? And I do feel like that was missed. But like, other than that, like if we had skipped that part and just got to the like, oh, he's Kirk and he's an adult and he's into Starfleet and doing the same kind of cheat. It's like, the same traits that you fall in love with your partner for can also become like the reason why you can't stand to look at them after 20 years, right? Like confidence at first, you might eventually come to be seeing as like arrogance, which I think is like the critical point here with Kirk's character and how he differs from the original to like this one is that, it's that blurry line between how are you just confident because you're capable, or are you arrogant because you think highly of yourself? It's just how you view it.
I wish that was like a part of the story in any way. And I also wish that it wasn't just like very clear that J.J. Abrams just what's the word I'm looking for? Idolatrizes? What the
Idolizes.
fuck? Idolizes. Thank you. My God, my brain. Idolizes those types of traits because he's just like, he's a stupid dickhead asshole womanizer, and he gets promoted from cadet to captain in 12 12 hours.
Yeah, I could have done with a time skip for him to be the captain after that movie.
Or just write a movie that's about like this guy who, you know, is a little bit of a maverick and is different and is separate from the flock, but manages to do things that continually put him ahead of the curve where he maybe shouldn't be, you know? Like, that would have been cool. That would have been an actual cool movie. A movie where you go, wow, I kind of want to like be like that character. One of the things that is maybe the biggest problem I have with this script more than anything else is the convenience, which is a hallmark of anything that J.J. Abrams works on. Everything is super fucking convenient. And it comes to a head in Rise of Skywalker where everything is just there because.
The fucking dagger. Oh my God.
The dagger.
Oh my God. I forgot about the dagger.
Yeah, it's dumb. And in this movie, it's like everyone just happens to be at the right place at the right time. He gets exiled onto an ice planet. And with Leonard Nimoy, Spock, you can be like, well, he was in the future, right? And so, but that can't even be because he was exiled onto the ice planet to watch the explosion. He just so happens to get exiled onto the same ice planet and land 15 feet away from the cave where Leonard Nimoy is and get chased into it by a monster.
It's because it was the will of the Force.
Yes, the will of the Force. And then they both walk to the nearest station, which just so happens to have the most genius, you know, warp guy that's ever existed. It is the entire movie is just a chain of convenience, and it is insulting to the soul.
I have to bitch for a second because you
please.
I just remembered the whole transwarp beaming thing breaks Star Trek like in a severe way that we're going to see continue with these movies that J.J. Abrams just throws shit in to solve a plot problem with no concern for how it impacts the like totality of Star Trek. With transwarp beaming, why the fuck do you need starships?
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, well, it's just in the alternate universe because it's an equation that Spock brought from the Prime universe. So apparently they've got that in the Prime universe too. And it's like, okay, great. So you can beam from one planet to another planet. You can beam at warp. So we can just like beam probes places now immediately. Yeah. Like what are we doing having a fleet for? Like all so that they could conveniently get Kirk back on the Enterprise without having to worry about it. He doesn't think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a cool moment. The thing is, they frame it like it's supposed to be a cool moment. And that's one thing that happens in these movies a lot. And I know from my memory that this happens a lot in the next film, not to get us set up. But there's this thing where like the movie is going, isn't this cool? And you go, not really. And that's the thing that happens with the transwarp beaming. They kind of set it up a little and then they do it. And you're just like, okay, all right. Was it actually earned?
Never use that again.
Was there any like emotional impetus that made this a cool moment? I don't know. Like I think about, to draw up the most uncharitable parallel that I possibly can, Andor, the final moment of the heist on the planet with the eye of Aldani. That is one of the coolest moments that Star Wars has ever had when they get out of there with that hauler and fly through the eye. And it is so earned. It is earned through episode and episode of intense buildup and emotional stakes and characters that you care about. And in this movie, it's just like, oh, a cool thing's going to happen. The cool thing happened. Don't you think we're cool? And I'm like, no, I think you're lame and you're spitting on culture, on our dignity. What a travesty against art.
Which is funny too, because like, as far as like production design goes, like this is a beautiful fucking movie. I actually absolutely adore this design of the Enterprise. The retro futurist aesthetic of the bulby nacelles. They look like a car from the 60s. I fucking love the Enterprise. I think it's my favorite version of the Enterprise that they've done in Star Trek. I love all the alien designs. This is the only Star Trek movie to have won an Academy Award, and it was for makeup. And Michael Giacchino as the composer, like I love his new theme for Star Trek. I love all the things that he does with it. It's, you know, like there's so many good aspects to it. But if you don't have a solid story to tell, if you are just like reliving the hits to go, you know, hey, remember Star Trek? It's all hollow. It's like, oh wow, that's a very, very polished turd.
There are scenes that are like almost, exactly like that. Like where it's like the things that were good about the movie were not used well. That the little alien that hangs out with Scotty.
Keenser, yeah.
Yeah, they did a bunch of alien makeup that looked good. That was the alien that most made me go, oh yeah, this, like, I would believe this as like an alien from the Star Trek world. And it's just like, he's a punchline. That's it.
He's a punchline for being small. He climbs up on things because he's small.
Don't be up there.
He's just a guy, except that he's not a guy. He's a fixture.
He's not a
in
character.
the room.
He's
a lamp.
Yeah.
he's a lamp. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Yes. And there's another scene. One of the only scenes that I like really remembered from watching it the first time, which is the scene where Kirk is like looking at the ship being built as a kid. You know, he's like looking up at the ships being built or whatever, which is like, first of all, those things would be constructed
that?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you build on a planet? Like, how the most heavy thing on that doesn't make any sense. But it is like kind of a iconic shot. And in looking back at it, I go like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't even look good for the time. They weren't using the CG effectively. There's scenes in the old Star Trek movies using like the most crappy on film cell animation that you can imagine that look way better and sell the emotions way more. And like, that's the one scene I remember being like, oh, this is kind of visually interesting. And it just, in going back and visiting it again, it's like, and it doesn't have any payoff. It's not like you see this as a moment of Kirk being like, wow. Like, okay, compare this to the Star Trek motion picture. That initial scene of them just like basically the camera making love to the model of the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. For 5
where
minutes.
It's just, you can feel all of it. You can feel Kirk and Scotty's obsession. They're like, this is my thing. It's like when you have like your grandpa showing you his like car that he made in the garage over like 25 years or whatever. Like, it has that feeling. In this movie, it's just like, okay, so the kid's looking at the cool thing, and then it's gone, and it never means anything ever again.
Yeah, and also J.J. Abrams called that like his Sunset on Tatooine shot.
Oh,
like,
no.
This man was literally
Actual idiot.
He was just making this movie to audition to do Star Wars. Apparently, he had actually talked with George Lucas before directing this movie about like any pointers Lucas could give him on how to make it work, and Lucas had put lightsabers in it. So I guess that's why he remade this movie for Star Wars.
I love George Lucas so much. George Lucas is such a troll. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, this guy, this video game character. He, kind of like he runs fast. So let's call him Jet Rundash.
Yep.
Oh, I love that guy.
Oh my God. So George Lucas is such a petty asshole, and I love it because I feel the same way towards all of these fucking cretins in Disney and these, nostalgia predators. I wish that we had more George Lucases to fuck with them. There's not enough.
I feel like Chris Pine as a human being is kind of like that. Like, Chris Pine is he's like getting his freak on nowadays. Like, you see him in public and he's just in a t-shirt and he's got his like crazy beard all grown out. I want to see Chris Pine direct something.
So we had Chris Hemsworth, pre-stardom Chris Hemsworth playing Kirk's dad, and the commentary for the film was recorded, I assume, like right after the movie had come out, because they wanted it in time for the DVD release. And so like it is 2009 era commentary where they don't even call that actor by name because he's such a minor actor at this point that he's just, oh yeah, that guy who kind of looks like Chris Pine. They don't even remember his name as they're doing the commentary. And now Chris Hemsworth is a significantly bigger star than Chris Pine is. So that's funny. But apparently they had actually approached Matt Damon to play Kirk's dad at one point, which I think that could have worked. But I don't know. I liked seeing baby Chris Hemsworth before he was a star.
Yeah, he looks like a sweetheart.
It's funny you bring up that scene, and I thought of another thing, which is like this movie, and J.J. Abrams has a magical ability to do this, but to do like movie magic, like it's a movie, idiot, like those types of moments where it's just like, okay, this, like, why did it happen that way? It's not perfectly logical, or it doesn't necessarily make sense in the lore. He always uses it at the worst times and never when it would matter. Like, for example, why do they have the final conversation between Kirk's mom and dad be over the cell phone? Like, you couldn't find some contrivance to like put them in the same room together so there could be some emotion there. Like, and nothing. I know your idea of having the first officer, the first mate or whatever, like that would be perfect. But like, there's nothing. You couldn't come up with any like contrivance that would let you go like have them be in the same room so there's like some emotional impetus there. Instead, they're just kind of fucking talking to each other over the air.
They had other scenes with Kirk's mom that they cut for time, so I'm sure that we had seen scenes with the two of them interacting.
Fucking God,
it's
fucking
just,
damn it.
yeah.
These were certainly a series of choices that were made.
I still think it's a fun movie, but as a Star Trek movie, like, I'm gonna have problems with it. And yeah, it's the weaponization of nostalgia that's kind of, wow, J.J. Abrams is the architect of the Trump regime.
You know, he's one of the contributors to the cultural moment for sure, in that I don't think he like made it happen, but he definitely like fits right in with the sort of like cultural stultification.
Well, and it's like, it's so like fundamental to J.J. Abrams as a director. Like you see his TED talk about the mystery box, which shows that he doesn't actually care about story. He's basically just like, oh, I know how to weaponize people's desire to know things in order to make a MacGuffin seem interesting when I haven't thought about what it is at all either. And it's like,
Predatory.
Yeah, man, I've seen your TV shows. I watched Alias. I watched Lost. I know J.J. Abrams he only made the pilot, but that's kind of the point, is that he like made the pilot and thought, oh, what if there's like a mysterious monster? What if the island isn't just an island? What if this guy can walk, but he was in a wheelchair? But without thinking about any of the answers, because he doesn't care about that, because the mystery is what's important to him, because
now you can be lured in.
He's never actually finished a thought. He just likes, oh, isn't it cool to wonder?
God.
No, it's cool to fucking know things, man.
It can be cool to wonder, and wonder is a legitimate emotion, but let's be honest, it's being used as a lure to take your money.
And I hadn't really made the connection until just now, basically, that like anything that's selling you on nostalgia, it might not have like fascistic intent, but it can certainly be part of a cultural movement in that way, where like fascism, it creates in-groups and out-groups. And if you're not one of the scapegoat out-groups, then what you are being sold is the idea of safety, normalcy, the feeling of the good old days. Yeah, familiarity. So yeah, it's like whether it was intentional or not. And I would assume for the most part that this kind of thing is unintentional on the part of like J.J. Abrams or whomever makes these movies, that like, yeah, this cultural thing that we have going on right now, where a large group of people are like, yeah, well, I want to go back to the white picket fence 1950s where like there are no brown people in my neighborhood, and
yes,
ignoring the 90% marginal tax rate. Yeah, it definitely is like part of this feeling, this cultural feeling of, well, things suck now, but they were better before. So let's let our rights get trampled on to
Wasn't
get to
it
that
better
feeling.
when ... Better,
yeah.
And then you wonder, and then you're just supposed to sit there and be a passive. You just wonder about whatever message, and yeah, it slots right in. It's the type of thing of like I said, the stultification of culture, the sanding off of anything that has difficult elements, that has things that are tough to deal with, emotions that aren't, wow, yummy. And I hate it. I hate it. Every time I think of, Alan Moore talking about the fascistic tendencies of superhero obsession.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I think that like it applies here as well. This like consistent childlike arrest of just like, wow, cool flashing light, big gun. I don't think that J.J. Abrams is like personally like a fascist or a Nazi or anything like that. I just think that the stuff that he makes fits in perfectly to a culture that is basically trying to kill your ability to think and your ability to grow as a person.
Even Zack Snyder, who's directed explicitly fascist films, I wouldn't call a fascist.
No, and the stupid thing about this is that I watched this movie and I couldn't help but think about Rebel Moon, which is one of the dumbest and most embarrassing 2 movies that I've ever seen. And even that has more character than this movie, which is crazy that I'm at this point. But I'm just like, this is such a product. There's not a genuine bone in the entire thing, except for maybe Leonard Nimoy himself being like, I'm happy to be Spock again. And it's like,
I feel like at least
buddy.
There's a black person in this one. Like, obviously, like futuristic media reflects something about our present. And the fact that Zoe Saldana is in 3 of these major sci-fi franchises that depict the future, and she only gets to be black in one of them. Like she's in Avatar, she's blue, she's in Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's green. And at least in this one, she gets to be a black person. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the one where she gets to be a black person and on screen is also the one where they utilize her as a set dressing as opposed to a real character, which is really fucking unfortunate.
Yeah. She's mostly just Spock's girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Did you forget about that part?
I don't mind them creating a relationship between those two.
I don't mind that at all. I don't care about that.
It's one of the only like original ideas that the movie has is like,
that's true.
Let's develop these characters more and see how they actually relate to each other. Because there's like a scene or two in the original series where like Uhura kind of flirts with Spock and he doesn't return the flirting because he's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
But you know, so like there was like the bare bones, but I like that they do something with it, and that's a story.
I don't mind that part.
Character.
There's a shot where they're going onto the warp pad and they're like making out on one corner of the warp pad, and it was such a perfect snapshot of the blocking decisions throughout this entire movie. Characters that are putting their like entire soul into the performance are then standing in weird locations and talking at each other in really weird ways because there's no attention paid because there's supposed to put people in there. And that's one of them where I'm just like, why are they standing there like that? Why is the camera like capturing them like this? Why is there no like centering of that?
Close-ups were weird in that scene.
Yeah, it's just, there's no moment where you see, oh, this is like an intimate moment between people who care each other. Instead of it's like this wide shot with, I mean, of course there's like 100 cuts in there, but there's this one wide shot with like Kirk walking onto the pad and he like looks over and it's just like, it's so awkward. It feels like when you're in high school and like your friend with the girlfriend that they make out literally constantly and can't stay off each other are just hanging out at the like LAN party and everyone's like, yeah, so you want to play some Smash Bros? And it's like,
Look, I remember being a teenager. Unfortunately, Spock was like in his 30s at that point. So
yeah,
no
it's
excuse.
just even more awkward. Well, I don't know if I have anything else to say about this movie.
I have one final complaint.
Yes.
Sulu, when they're doing the base jumping scene, like
oh yeah, George Takei.
He convinces Pike to send and include him on the mission because he has combat experience, and then he later tells Kirk that is fencing, which is actually itself a direct callback to the reason that George Takei was fencing shirtless in that original series episode is that he wanted to do more stuff on the show. And in Hollywood, when somebody asks you if you can do something, you say yes, and then you go figure out how to do it. So he said he could fence. He had never fenced in his fucking life, and he just like immediately like went and hired like a coach for like a couple afternoons so that he could actually do something on set. But then when they're on the pad and he pulls out his space katana, that's not a fencing sword.
That has nothing to do with
that's
fencing.
a slashing weapon. He should have had a space rapier. He should have, like,
agreed.
Like it was still very swashbuckly in its way, but it's like, well, he's Asian. We better give him a katana.
It's like you just said fencing as a joke, and then you put in the katana to be racist. That's what you've done.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about Sulu's presence in this movie.
He's kind of a minor character.
Is it in one of the follow-up movies that he has to be in the captain's seat for a second and he delivers an amazing performance? Like, I think it's not in this movie. It's in one of the following ones.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like they make a big point of him taking the captain's chair to reference the fact
I need
that
to
Sulu
watch
becomes
Harold and
captain.
Kumar Go to White Castle again.
I've never seen that one.
It was so dumb when I was a teenager. I want to see it again. Anyway, Star Trek. We're going to do another one.
Yeah, we're going to do several more ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Several
And
more.
next up is, I'm just going to preface it here. It's the worst Star Trek movie, and it's also the worst titled Star Trek movie.
Bendy Ben Cumberbun.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. All right.
Until then, thank you all so much for listening. I've been Gayfesh,
I'm Moss.
I have been DemonMama.
and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks to my patron, EVV. If you want to catch these episodes early and hear your name at the end of the episode, subscribe at patreon.com/gayfesh.